This is Rosen Institute's Your Law Firm, where Ned Days and Lee Rosen cover management, marketing, finance, and new technologies for building the practice you deserve. Rosen Institute members received this episode early, as well as exclusive segments on taking a look at your office with fresh eyes, and an answer to a member question about hiring an associate straight out of law school. Get access to everything you're missing at roseninstitute.com/join. Here's Lee Rosen.
It's good to be with you today from Bangkok, Thailand, where we're spending the holidays with our kids who are both living here. For a Buddhist country, the Christmas spirit in Bangkok, well, it is honestly staggering. The malls, and Bangkok does love its malls, they are decked out with massive Christmas trees and enough decorations to make Times Square feel a little bit insecure. Christmas sells, apparently even when most of the population isn't Christian. It's strange, but it's true. And the holiday meals, well, the hotels and the restaurants all over the city, they trot out full Western spreads, turkeys and trimmings, buffets that would make your grandmother cry. It's always close to home, but with just enough differences to remind you that you're not actually in North Carolina. Luckily, the Thai hospitality, it more than covers any culinary quirks. You come for the turkey, you stay because everyone here treats you like family.
It's time for your tech tip. I have spoken at length about my love for the humble and at this point very old-fashioned RSS newsfeed reader, but I have to admit I rarely use one at this point, even though I have more media and content that I have to follow than ever in my life. We have to stay informed on all kinds of news and issues across an increasingly wide array of services and communication channels. Twitter/X, Reddit, Substack, podcasts, the list goes on. The trusty old email newsletter has seen a resurgence as a way to keep up to date, since everybody has an email account, and what is one more message in the inbox if it saves us having to check yet another app or service? But I've been experimenting with two tools that attempt to reorient how we stay on top of the dizzying number of outlets that we need to follow. The first one is the much more traditional option of the two. It's called Perch, and you can find it at perch.app. It works on the web as well as on iOS and Android. The aim of Perch is to consolidate all of your newsletters and news feeds or blogs into one place. And then, once they're consolidated, give you the option to either read them normally, get AI summaries of the key points, or listen to audio of the entry in real time. It does have some useful tricks to get you up and running. You can connect an email account to have it scan for newsletters that you're subscribed to, and then load them in automatically, although it only seems to work with Gmail accounts at the moment. You can set reading goals and configure notifications. The free plan lets you read and get AI summaries of everything you're subscribed to, as well as listen to up to 1 hour of articles per month. The paid plan is $7 per month and includes unlimited listening. I will say, while the listening feature is nice, it's just fairly standard text-to-speech, so it plows through every piece of text in the article or email, picture captions, table headings, everything, so it can make for a slightly jarring listen. Now, you have options for loading in most content sources you could want. Just using their search function seemed to bring up most newsletters, blogs, and Substacks that I wanted. I'm guessing they are crawling through a bunch of databases to make that happen. You do have the option of providing a website URL if you want to subscribe to a particular site or publication that isn't listed. It basically tells you, hey, we'll give this a shot, but no promises and no ETA on when it will be ready. I tried it with a couple of options, and it seemed to work fairly reliably and quickly, but if you are into some really weird bespoke content published on a blogging platform from 1997, your mileage may vary. You get a tab of suggested content that is based on the things to which you are actively subscribed, but the main focus is just on keeping up with newsletters, blogs, and publications that you have specifically requested. Do keep in mind, though, that at this point the content has to be freely available on the web. There's no support for paid content. It basically has to be published somewhere on the internet for free. The second tool, and the one that is a little more out there, but I think is worth taking the time to wrap your head around, is Hux, available at huxe.com. This one is a mobile app only, available on both Android and iOS. It's currently free, but I have no doubt they are feverishly working on how to monetize it. It's much more personally focused and essentially builds a kind of interactive podcast called a daily brief based on your connected calendars, email accounts, and news topics that you select. When setting up the app, you connect it to your calendar accounts with Google, Microsoft, or Apple, as well as email accounts with Google or Microsoft. When you are going through the initial setup, it seems like you can only add one email account or one calendar, but if you go to the settings after the setup is done, you have the option to link multiple email accounts and multiple calendar accounts. Based on what it finds in your email and calendars, it suggests some news topics that you may want to be briefed on as well. It picked up on things like legal marketing and AI applications for me, as well as a topic called Explain It Like I'm 5. Apparently, it determined that I need things spelled out very clearly as though I'm a toddler. Thanks for the vote of confidence, Hux. Once you've set all this up, you get your daily brief, a podcast between two people split up into various segments that you can skip between. If you've ever used Notebook LM to generate an NPR-esque podcast from resources that you've uploaded, you will know what to expect here. It's a little chit-chatty and informal for my taste, but surprisingly effective. It starts out with a calendar synopsis, makes quite reasonable inferences from what you have on your calendar, determining which events repeat, what the purpose of cryptically named events are, and a lot more. It moves on to email highlights. It quite reasonably prioritized things like Zapier errors and Gusto notifications and other issues from my inbox. After that, it covers the highlights from newsletters and did a surprisingly good job of picking up on newsletters I care about and extracting the key points. I found it more effective than just listening to text-to-speech of full email, as was the case in Perch. Now, in addition to that, you can add extra topics you want it to cover and insert into your daily update. There are essentially two ways to do this. Once you have added a topic, you can just freeform tell it what you are interested in, and it will search the web for relevant information, or you can specify URLs for it to pull from. These can be Twitter/X accounts, topics from Reddit, RSS feeds, URLs on the web, and more. I'll be honest, using this app is a little weird because it's generating summaries and voices on the fly. You get goofy music interludes while it's doing its thing. It's a little bit like being on hold with the bank, and as soon as the stuff you actually care about is done, it plays some more hold music and sends you off down some unrelated rabbit hole. It wanted me to listen to it talk about some kind of Pilates contraption because it saw that I had a gym visit on my calendar. And it does present the temptation to doom scroll as it offers you a bunch of other stuff to listen to beyond what is just in your brief. Whether you find that helpful or interesting is a different matter. It feels a little gimmicky, but I was honestly impressed at how well it made sense of what was on my calendar and what was in my inbox, and how it grabbed useful info from newsletters that I probably would have skipped if I had just been forced to actually read them. I think this is likely where our consumption of news and updates is headed. Personalized, streamlined, abstracted from the original source to some degree, a little corny, but ultimately really useful. I'm Ned Days, and that's your tech tip.
And now for your moment of concise advice. I was sitting in a courtroom one morning waiting for my client's hearing when the room, it began to fill up really fast. And it wasn't a big case day, but suddenly every lawyer in town was in that courtroom. And then I realized why. The litigants in the case that was about to be called, they were lawyers too. This was a temporary restraining order hearing, one law partner suing the other, a partnership gone nuclear. And I stayed and I watched, and it was ugly. The whispers and the snickering started before the judge even took the bench. The lawyers were really enjoying this moment. And then the hearing started, and it was a wild hearing. Every dirty secret came out. By the end, neither lawyer involved in the case walked out with their dignity intact. Their law firm was done, their reputations were bruised, and every lawyer in town had a front row seat. That day, it really stuck with me. I have been ranting for years about avoiding partnerships because I have seen too many law partnerships end in disaster, but I know that I'm not going to stop most lawyers from doing it. You'll still convince yourself that this time is different, that you have found your business soulmate, that this partnership is safer than going it alone. There are as many reasons for forming partnerships as there are lawyers, and we all believe that we are the exception to the rule. We believe we can make it work. So fine. If you're going to do it, let's at least make sure that you do it right. I have seen what happens when it goes bad, and it's rarely betrayal of one lawyer by the other that kills it. No, it's poor structure, It's wishful thinking. It's personalities that don't mix, at least not over the long haul. The dream fades, and what is left is a spreadsheet full of regrets and embarrassing moments like the one that I witnessed in the courtroom. So what do? Well, the first rule is don't do this to make the fear go away. Fear is a terrible business partner. If you're scared of being alone, if you're scared of overhead, if you're scared of not knowing what you don't know, none of that gets better when you add a partner to the mix. In fact, it usually doubles. What it is that you think will calm your nerves will actually compound your anxiety, because now you'll have someone else's feelings and finances and expectations tangled up in your own. The second thing is this: don't do it to share expenses. Sharing costs, it sounds efficient until one of you uses the copier more than the other. I have watched partnerships crumble over the cost of printer toner. If you're just trying to split expenses, well then split expenses, but don't become business partners. You can rent office space and share a paralegal. You can do all of that without splitting equity in your law firm. Equity is forever, or at least until the judge rules on the dissolution action. You can skip all of that and simply divide the rent. Office rent is month to month. Keep your freedom. Don't sign a partnership agreement. You don't need to. And the third thing is this: don't do it to look bigger. Nobody is fooled. And the reality is that clients don't care how many names are on your letterhead. What they care about is whether you answer the phone and whether you deliver results. I've seen too many people chase an image of legitimacy instead of building actual substance. That kind of vanity tax, it costs a lot more than the rent. Now, if you're still nodding along and you're thinking, yeah, but we really have a shared vision, well, then maybe you've got something worth testing. But that's the key word here: test. Don't jump straight into a 50-50 partnership because you got excited over a brainstorming session. Start with something small. Start with a project. Build something small together. See how it feels when things get messy, when one of you drops the ball, when the first real disagreement happens. If you can survive that with respect intact and excitement still alive, well, then maybe you're ready for something bigger. And by bigger, I mean a bigger test. Baby steps here. Don't move fast. Move slow, one step at a time. And then if that works out, and if you must, then go ahead, but write it all down. Every detail. Who's going to make the decisions? And that's where the meltdown shows up first in most partnerships. Dumb decisions about things that don't matter. Write down who it is that's going to make those decisions, because if you think you're going to make each of them together, well, there's a problem. And that problem usually involves ego. Ego gets involved and damages these relationships significantly. Keep writing it all down. More details. Who owns what? How do you get out of this partnership? Because I promise you, getting into a partnership, it's a handshake. It's easy. Getting out is a lawsuit. And while you're at it, come up with an exit plan and treat that exit plan as sacred. Put a buy-sell agreement in writing. Spell out the valuation process. Include how you'll handle the disputes before they happen. It's like a prenup for your business. If you ever need it, you will be super glad that you spent the time working on it. Still, every now and then, you'll see a law firm partnership done right. Some people really do share a vision and they have complementary strengths. One's a natural marketer, the other's a disciplined manager, or both bring different kinds of depth that make the whole stronger than its parts. There's a firm in Atlanta that comes to mind, two partners who've led together for decades. One drives growth, the other drives execution. And I'd like to say that both of them keep their ego in check. But the truth is that one of them has a gigantic, out-of-control ego. The other simply doesn't get triggered by the egomania. It works beautifully. But those kinds of partnerships, they are the exception, not the rule. The best partnerships, they are not built on convenience. They are built on a mission shared so deeply that both parties are willing to protect it above their pride, above their personal agendas. That means not just aligning your professional vision, but your personal financial goals as well. So often, the problems in these partnerships are about personal financial goals. They've got to be in alignment as well. If one of you needs cash while the other's chasing long-term growth, You're already on different roads, so talk about that early before resentment creeps in and poisons the trust. That day in court many years ago, it taught me something that's never left my mind. Partnerships don't destroy people. Poor decisions do. Unfortunately, too often, partnership decisions are poor decisions. So choose wisely, move slowly, and mostly take the easy way and find a way to make your legal career work without forming a partnership. That's your moment of concise advice. Wrapping up from Bangkok, thanks for spending a few minutes with me and Ned today. We hope you have a great weekend and an even better week next week. Keep plugging away, moving forward, and getting things done. You're on the right track. You'll get there, I promise. We're all in this together, and together we build better practices through better marketing, better management, and better technology. Until next time, I'm Lee Rosen.
Thanks for listening to Your Law Firm. Subscribe to the Friday File at roseninstitute.com and join thousands of other lawyers who are working on instead of in their businesses. You'll find safe, successful, actionable approaches for transforming your practice. Join us today at roseninstitute.com.